Yeah, so I'd like us to look at technological determinism and polysemmy. And for this week, our focus is McLuhan and John Fiske. Um, McLuhan and John Fiske. The purpose of our expected learning outcomes are: one, explain the background of McLuhan and Fiske in relation to media studies. Then analyze the tenets of McLuhan and Fiske's paradigms in relation to the media studies, discuss the relevance of McLuhan and Fiske's postulations to media studies, and then interrogate the tenets of McLuhan and Fiske in relation to media studies. So those are our expected learning outcomes. Then we now move on to the background. The background of our study. Uh, so Berry and Clark 1999 observed that in 1967, McLuhan was declared, a hero because it was actually declared the year of McLuhan in Canada to attest to his reputable acclaim, as every Canadian wanted to listen to him. So this is a person who had grown in knowledge, and almost everyone in Canada wanted to listen to McLuhan because of his influential role in media studies. So his almost prophetic ideas on the role of media technologies in the world have been realized many years after their authorship. So after his authorship, there are ideas that he talked about, and they have become foundational. They became almost prophetic. What he said in 1967 and before that has been realized with the growth or with the exponential growth in ICT revolution. John Fiske was an influential English scholar and figure in media. He was known for his work on popular culture, television, and media semiotics. We look at the concept of closed and open texts. These were the major tenets that he came up with. The first tenet that McLuhan came up with was the content of a medium. Yeah, he talked about medium or media at length, and he looked at what he meant by content. So McLuhan generally begins by analogies of technological inventions and the influence they have had on human society. So he theorizes that actually technology has had a strong impact on the human society. And as we continue with life, actually, we reach a time where technology now controls humanity. That we are not going to control technology, but technology will control us because of our dependence on it. Yeah. For example, he talks about the electric bulb. Yeah. It looks like a mere device, but um, um, but its impact on human life cannot be underestimated. For example, the electric bulb was able to extend the day to enable human beings work for a longer period of time. And before that, people would just work whenever there was sunlight. But with the advent of the electric bulb, we were able to extend our day. You find some cities today, like Nairobi, Nakuru, people don't sleep. Yeah, you reach Nairobi at 2 a.m. You find people, talking about 24-hour economy just because of the electric bulb. Then he talks about the railway. Yeah, it did not introduce transportation, but it expanded the transport industry to such an extent that new cities, were able to emerge. You remember, we are told in 1899, Nairobi had to come up because the railway passed there. When it reached Kisumu, it also led to emergence of another city. At Mombasa, it also developed. So there are most cities, in the world today that have developed because of the railway. So McLuhan refers to these worthwhile activities of technological inventions as the content of the invention. That the purpose of media, the purpose of media, the function of media, it is purpose, it is its purpose. Yeah. Um, so the content of a media are the uses, which does not necessarily refer to its impact on human life. The uses of a cell phone, for instance, comprise its content according to McLuhan. If you are using a cell phone to do texting, calling, surfing the net, taking photos, these are what he calls the content of a medium. But the content of a medium is not necessarily its impact. Is not necessarily its impact. Then another tenet he came up with was the medium as the message. Yeah, that the medium is a message. The medium is the message. McLuhan, 1964, defines the message as the psychological and social consequences of the medium as it attempts to affect the patterns and human existence. Yeah, the psychological and social consequences of a medium is what he calls a message. For example, what is the impact? What is the impact of television? What is the impact of a cell phone? What is the impact of the radio? That is what what he calls a message. So when we say the medium as a message, we are talking about the impact, the psychological and the social consequences of, a medium. So he writes, the message of any medium or technology is the change, of scale or pace for pattern that it introduces into human affairs. That the consequences of the impact it has on human affairs is what we call the message. And I think he has a point. You look at some of our, like the cell phone, what the cell phone has had, and the whole question of Wi-Fi, what internet has had on human life, he calls that one as a message. Yeah. So the impact you have on society is what we call a message. That's according to McLuhan. You can only pass a message that your message is the impact you're having on us. I'm repeating that because it's a very, very important tenet. The message here is not just referring to information which is passed. The use of message in this particular theory refers to the psychological and social impact of a medium. So without the electrical light, surgery will not be possible in the dark surgical rooms. So will cities like Nairobi have failed to emerge without the railway. So the emergence of cities is the message of the railway. What is the message of the railway? The emergence of cities. Yeah. What is the message of the electric bulb? Is the 24-hour economy that we're having and the surgeries taking place in very dark places. So Japanese feudalism, for example, collapsed after the opening up of the cash economy after 200 years in seclusion. So that's the message of cash economy. What is the message of cash economy? The collapse of feudalism. They believe that it was just about animals and farming, and then you have slaves, and then slaves are able to work on your farm, sugarcane plantation. You oppress people, you kill some of them in the name of farming. When cash economy came and industries also arose because of cash, feudalism collapsed. So money passed a message through the collapse of feudalism. Yeah. So money has become an authentic extension of our lives, and that is an impact. Yeah. With money, you can live anywhere. It doesn't matter whether you have a farm, whether you have a house or not. With money, you can live anywhere. With money, you can go anywhere. And according to McLuhan, that is the message of cash economy. The impact of technology, the impact of a technology is the message, the message. So he writes, money has reorganized the sense of life of peoples just because it's an extension of our lives. So money has become an extension of our lives, and that is its impact. So does the change depend on approval or disapproval of those living in the society? Maybe that's the question I want to pose to you. Does this impact depend on the approval and disapproval of those living in the society? Yeah. If I may ask you, does the impact of radio, does the impact of television, does the impact of a cell phone, dependent on the approval and disapproval of some of us in the society? Hmm? Does the impact of Facebook, does the impact of TikTok dependent on the disapproval and approval of some of us in the society? Maybe somebody go to the chats, or you can unmute and say something. Yeah, is the message dependent on whether we approve it or not? Mhm. Does the impact of something, like when Facebook came, most of us were not there. We were not there. But with the time, we found ourselves there because of some of the benefits that we were receiving. Yeah. So does the impact depend on the approval or disapproval of some of us? Bob, yeah? Bob, does the impact depend on the approval and disapproval of members of the society? Bob, what do you think? Lunani, what do you think? Lunani, are you able to unmute? Are we in class? I think or you can even use chat if you cannot, but I've not locked anybody out. Just host control, host control. I have not. Does the impact of a medium dependent on what people say, on what people say, on what people say in the society? Does it depend on our approval or disapproval? Natalia?
I don't think the impact depends on what people says,
Mm.
because the media or the medium itself, it has its own way of transmitting information.
Mm-hmm.
So whether people like it or not,
Mm.
if if they use a specific way and it gets to people, they don't. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not.
That is it. Mm. I've just given an example of Facebook. Yeah. When Facebook came, most of us who pretended to be very serious, we were not really interested. Mm. But when we realized the benefits, especially advertisement, Facebook has a way of advertising things, very fast. And again, instead of writing letters that disappear, you are writing letters to Europe. Nowadays, people don't write letters to Europe unless it's a job, or maybe a visa or something more serious you are applying for. Yeah. But if you just use Facebook and you talk to somebody very far, can use email, of course. And email has also survived a lot of change. It can send huge data, to very far places. So it doesn't matter, according to McLuhan also, because he was the father of technological determinism. He believed so much in the power of technology, and that's why he's theorizing and trying to say that actually it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you approve these things or not. It doesn't matter your approval. It will just move, it will go with those who have accepted, and then with the time, those who are slow to absorb change will just come in. So this extension attests to the medium's impact, which is the message it sends. So the impact is the message that the media sends to the community at large. So the individual's opinion, whether moral or rational, cannot affect the impact or the message of the medium. He cites somebody called Sanoff and contends that the medium itself is not the problem, but how it is used. Yeah. So don't blame Facebook, don't blame TikTok. Yeah. It is how it is used. That's what McLuhan says. I don't know. What do you think of that? That mostly It's not Facebook. Facebook is not the problem. Yeah. Much as there can be some adult entertainment or adult sites on Facebook. Yeah. It is not Facebook which is the problem. Yeah. So you go there and use it well. Go there and use it well. Yeah. Like personally, I have a YouTube channel and it assists me a lot, like, especially for big classes. Like you have a class of 300. Sometimes when you are teaching, some of those students don't hear what you are saying. Yeah. Now, when I summarize those notes on a YouTube channel, they are able to reach those notes, to listen to those notes and make them. Yeah. But some people use that YouTube channel to incite the public. They can have a podcast which is not very palatable. You see. So the fact that somebody is using a YouTube channel is misusing a YouTube channel, it doesn't mean that the YouTube channel is bad. It is how it is used. So you can go there if you are a pastor, you can use it to preach. Yeah, you can use it to preach, just the way the printing press was used to spread the Bible. Yeah, to spread the Bible. But there were those who used the printing press again to spread adult entertainment or what we call pornography and all that. So it is how the medium is used. Is not actually the medium itself is not the problem, yeah, but it's how that medium is used, yeah. And so another theory is another tenet is technological determinism. Of course, I've already given a hint of it. Yeah, so technological determinism is the belief that technology is the chief facilitator of social change. And this is one of the major tenets of McLuhan, yeah, that technology is a facilitator of social change. He argues that the invention and adoption of the new medium fundamentally alters the sensory balance of society. For example, television, yeah, it has really changed. Even in social media, the whole question of internet and social media, TikTok and whatever, they have really changed the sensory balance of society, which in turn leads to shifts in social, political, and cultural structures. Like look at the way Gen Zs have used technology to really spread messages, and the government has really been on toes. And so, for example, he talks about the printing press, yeah, which is the ultimate hot medium that extended the sense of sight and promoted linear, sequential form of thought. Yeah, this in turn gave rise to individualism, nationalism, the Reformation, and the Industrial Revolution. So the printing press led to the fragmentation of oral and tribal societies. People years used to listen to oral narratives, myths, and all that. Now had to turn to reading those stories in the books, writing scripts and acting drama, and the oral literature collapsed completely, yeah, because of the printing press. Um, and he talks about the electrical media, the telegraph, radio, and especially television, which marked a return to the oral culture. So television returned to the oral culture, but in another way, yeah. The cool media, by extending the nervous system itself, yeah, reconnected humanity by creating a global village, by creating a global village. Just give me some 1 minute, then yeah. So technological determinism, that humans no longer control technology, um, so much as technology controls them. That with the new media, actually technology is now controlling human beings. Technology has become an extension of ourselves. Just think about your phone. Yeah, just think about your phone. You cannot go somewhere and stay for 1 day without your phone. A phone it connects you to the bank. A phone connects you to friends. Like now, I have to share even links of your classes, links of your classes on your on WhatsApp, which is on the phone. So you can see that without my phone, I cannot have my classes comfortably because I stay closer to you. When I want you to come to class, I announce it on the phone. Yeah. A phone is becoming a very serious necessity. Losing a phone is something very serious. And again, if a hacker gets your phone, he can access your bank. So it's becoming, very, very, and these are things that McLuhan talked about them in the 1960s. Um, but as days go by, people have realized that what he said is it true, is becoming real. Yeah, it's becoming real. And that's why he is a very, very important theorist. That technology matters a lot in our lives. And so we in the media sector, we need to be very keen on technology. Yeah. Like you in the media, you should be very close to IT. You should be very close to IT. You should not be a kind of person who cannot even operate a computer very well. No. You people in the media, you need to pave the way because media and technology are inseparable. That's what McLuhan is saying. He also came up with the concept of the global village. Another tenet is the global village. And modern technology has become an extension of our nervous system, and they have the ability to replace print media. They are replacing print media. Anticol 1998 observes that electronic technologies became influential because they are tactile, emotional, and affective, hence cool media. So they are cool media because they affect most of our senses. It's not just about sight. And again, with them, they may even be going on and because you are doing other things. Yeah, you don't need to focus so much on them. You can have a TV or YouTube going on there, and you listen to it as you also read, Yeah. So, and that's why they're called cool media. They do not need to. They don't just rely on one sense. Yeah, they don't just rely on one sense. So, drawn to such media, McLuhan predicts that the world will be joined by a blood system of electric wires that will transform into a single community. And this is what we call a global, a global village. You are here. Like the day I was just in the office, and then a friend of mine called me on WhatsApp. So I thought she was in Nairobi, only to tell me she's actually calling from Sweden. I was really surprised. Yeah, yeah. I never knew WhatsApp could be so powerful. And again, you can just sit in your bedroom, you talk to somebody in Washington, D.C. on WhatsApp. Yeah, on WhatsApp or in your veranda somewhere in your village. Yeah. So and that's why we are saying now the world has become a global village. You can, like, I publish my books anywhere. Last year I published about 3 books, and one was in Germany, and two in Washington D.C. And I can just use, of course, those applications there to sign. Yeah, there's an application called document sign. You just sign. Yeah, you don't need to spend 200,000. Yeah, to travel to America to see a publisher. You don't need to. The world has become a global village. You can publish your work anywhere. You can market it anywhere. You go to LinkedIn, and if you have a following of more than 1,000, you are able to talk to so many people and all that. So the world has become a global village. So he writes, he writes that electromagnetic discoveries have created a simultaneous field in all human affairs, so that the human family now exists under conditions of a global village. You see, as much as you think you are in Muranga University, you are under a global village. Just in your room, you can talk to people anywhere. You can talk to people anywhere. You can share your videos here to various platforms. And if you have a good following, you are able to reach out to a very large audience. Doesn't matter where people are, you can communicate to people from wherever. So what's the relevance? What's the relevance of McLuhan? One, the medium as a message. Yeah, this means that the significant impact of technology isn't just in the content it delivers. It's not just in the news and all that, but in the changes it introduces on human interaction. So when you talk about the medium as a message, we are talking about the changes the medium has on human interaction, on human perception, and the thought patterns. You just listen to people talking somewhere. Where we were talking about Donald Trump, and in fact, you may think that they live in the United States. Why are they able to talk about Donald Trump very competently? It is the impact of television, impact of YouTube, the impact of the medium. So, and I've just talked about internet, the impact of internet on our social life. The impact, like whenever I'm working, my phone is just close. Yeah. I work for some 20 minutes, I look at my phone. I work for 30 minutes, I receive messages, even if I'm not in the office. Yeah. There is no way my COD will fail to reach me. Yeah. I may be, wherever I am, we are able to communicate. Yeah. My students can reach me wherever I am. Yeah. And that's why nowadays physical offices are also becoming null and void. This issue of sitting in physical offices, we don't need that. We don't need that all the time. I only go to office when I have something serious to do. Yeah. Because with communication, I can work from my house and be able to receive all the communication I need. I can attend meetings from my house. So the impact is the one we call the message. The impact is the one we call the message. Can get any information um, from wherever I am, from wherever I am. So I've talked about the message as the impact. The impact is the message, the changes the medium introduces to human interaction and the perception Number two is technological determinism, the idea that technology is the primary driver of social change and that it can control us more than we control it. As days go by, technology is really going to control us. His claim that technologies become extensions of our lives is more evident than ever. For example, smartphones, they have become extensions of our memory, social circles, and even our nervous systems. Because whenever you think, and the problem now, sometimes we think we have friends, um, um, when in real sense they are not, because with time now, the human interaction is constantly being replaced by these machines. And yet again, for us to enjoy good friendships, we also need face-to-face communications. We also need face-to-face communications. Yeah, but that is the role of smartphones and technology. And that means for us to use, if it's communication, people need to communicate more. If you are a very, very introverted communicator, you may end up with no relationships. So you need to communicate more effectively using these machines to maintain real relationships that have have value in life, that have value in life. But the truth is that one, smartphones have strengthened or bolstered communications, but on the other hand, they are also killing face-to-face communications or real communication that leads to what? To true and authentic relationships. The new technologies displace old jobs. That's another thing that McLuhan talks about. While creating new ones remains a central theme in economic and social discourse, the printing press replaced scribes, um, just as automation and artificial intelligence are now replacing jobs in manufacturing, data entry, and even creative fields, while simultaneously creating new roles for data scientists, AI ethicists, and also prompt engineers. So as new technologies come, some jobs have to be lost, and that's what McLuhan talked about. That new technologies will replace old jobs, and this is in the face of AI. Things are going to change. Like now, I can draw so many pictures. As I told you, I used to pay people to draw covers, to draw covers for my books. Like the latest book I've just produced, we did not pay any artist to draw that one. I sent the concept to the publisher, and the publisher placed the concept in one of the AI applications, and it produced three different covers. And then he asked me, "I've used AI to produce this. Which one do you like?" And I just chose that one. And you see that fella now, he has lost that 15,000 we used to pay. Yeah. So that is a job gone. Yeah. That is a job gone. And this is something that I want to emphasize. McLuhan is right. As technology changes, some jobs will disappear. But now we have to be creative so that we take advantage of the technology to create new jobs, to create new jobs. We don't mourn, but take advantage of the technology to create new jobs. Don't just sit there saying that jobs will not go. No, some jobs will go. Some jobs will go with the coming of AI. Some jobs are going to disappear. But we can leverage, we can take advantage of AI to create new jobs, and that is again McLuhan. And this imagine, and these are things he wrote in the 1960s, 1964, 1965. And that's why McLuhan is a very influential theorist. Actually, we have said in 1967 it was declared the year of McLuhan in Canada. Can you imagine? Just because of his influential ideas on technological determinism, on technological determinism. Um, and then he came up with the idea of hot and cool media. This framework helps to explain why some technologies feel more immersive or passive than others, and what psychological effects they have. Well, a newspaper demands full immersion, which is hot media. The podcast allows us to do other things as we continue, which is cool media. So he talks about cool media touches several other senses, and so and I think personally I'm a lover of. Maybe let me hear from you. You people, do you like hot media or cool media? Um, Maybe in your chat, Yeah, tell me which one. Which one do you like? Do you like hot media or cool media? Hmm? Hot media takes, the whole of your attention, like a newspaper. You have to focus on it to understand what is line by line and whatever to understand what you are reading. When it comes to cool media, several senses even hearing. So you can be in the kitchen, but you are listening to television cast in the sitting room, in the sitting room, because the sense of hearing is also being taken care of and all that. So maybe in your chat, tell me which one do you like? Do you like cool media, hot media, or both? Let me see. Let me see. Go to your chat, and let me see. Do you like hot media, cool media, or both? Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. We will go first. Uh-huh. Just go to your chat, go to your chat, go to your chat. Go to your chat. Go to your chat. Go to your chat. Nobody's saying anything. Are you unable to chat? Bob says cool media. Bob, cool media. Why? Why? That's good, Bob. You can also give us a reason if you don't mind. Lunani, which one do you like? Is it cool media or hot media? Hmm? Lunani, which one do you like? Cool media or hot media? Hmm. Cool media or hot media? Only Bob has said something. Is there any new message? Alunani says cool media. Um, mhm. Natalia says cool media because it's interactive. Uh-huh. Okay. Those are three people. Those are three people. Um, those are three people, and the rest, and the rest. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that one was it came about through the cogitations of this guy called McLuhan. Then we have John Fiske. John Fiske. Fiske was an eminent American media scholar who theorized broadly with regard to television and popular culture. Generally, his works are built on the works of Batts and Hall, where he contended that media texts can be classified by the ability to have multiple meanings. Yeah, and that's what we call polysemy. Polysemy, that they can have multiple meanings. Yeah. And so he came up with the concept of closed text and open text. And he talked about closed text as media that are meant to be read in a specific, predetermined way. Yeah. Everything is tailored towards a certain kind of interpretation. Yeah. They are created in a way that limits possible interpretations and direct the audience towards a preferred interpretation. And they also have an attitude. So they limit you towards a certain type of thinking. And so closed texts are often employ clear, specific codes and conventions to communicate a single major ideology. For example, political speeches. And somebody is giving a political speech, he wants you to appreciate, his manifesto or her manifesto and her way of thinking. And then you have propaganda videos. We have propaganda videos. Like those of you who listen to videos about Ukraine war or Russian war, you will see they want you to see Ukraine as a winner or Russia as a winner. So most propaganda videos are closed texts, and everything is geared to direct you towards a certain mode of thought. Then we have open texts, yeah. These are characterized by polysemy, yeah, which is the ability to produce multitude meanings. Open texts are susceptible to diverse interpretations that align with negotiated and oppositional reading. So they are open, and you can you can have your own attitude. You can have your own attitude. So they don't tailor you towards a certain mode of thought or a certain ideology. So television is a good example of an open text as it forms part of popular culture. If you're just listening to news, they present the two sides. They tell us about the opposition. They tell us about the ruling party. So it's upon you to have an attitude. But if you get a propaganda video, mostly they just want to tailor your thinking towards a certain kind of conclusion. So he adds that for a text to be popular, it must be open enough to appeal to different audiences. In literature, there is a theory called monologism and dialogism. That some works of art are monologic. Yeah, they try to force a certain kind of doctrine. They indoctrinate you in a certain way. Like when you read feminist narratives with writers like Margaret Ogola Uh, you get writers like Bucci Emecheta. The narrative tends to portray women in a certain way and men in a certain way. That's what we are talking about. So in literature, it's monologism and dialogism. But for you in media, you are talking about closed text and open texts. And I think as a media expert or graduate, or let me say, having done undergraduate in media, you understand that a journalist is supposed to be as neutral as possible. So closed texts are not neutral. That's what we are saying. Closed texts are not neutral. They have, they want us to think in a certain way. So that is the end of my presentation. So ensure you are moving. Maybe if I may ask you, how many have progressed up to session 3? How many have progressed up to session 3? Um, how many have progressed up to session 3? Session 3 up to session 3 in the Masomo portal. How many have reached session 3 in Masomo portal? Um, how many have reached session 3 in Masomo? By show of hands, you can use a virtual hand. A virtual hand. How many have reached session 3? Ensure you move step by step. Very soon, one way of enforcing that is to make you have a virtual card. So maybe cat 2, we may decide to give you a virtual card. That is one way of enforcing that so that people read. There are people who don't read. Wako hapo too, they don't go to the portal. So cat 1, I will use the presentations um, and uh, and what you will upload and what you will upload somewhere there in session 1. And then cut 2, I think you have to sit for a virtual cut. And for you to sit for that cut, you'd have done all the sessions behind you. That's how online learning happens. So I may have to set a virtual cut, just a simple one, and the major aim is to ensure that people are going online to study. People are not just doing their own things to wait to fail in the exam. Because on the portal, you'll find so many things. There are pictures there, videos there, you will watch, and you will learn a lot. Then if you just come here, me, I'm just here to guide you. And this lesson should just be as short as possible. It's not about me talking and talking. No, at master's level, people should be able to read on their own and do a lot on their own. Anybody with a question? Anybody with a question? Ensure you sign the attendance. Ensure you sign the attendance. Today we are 5, and I see Mary Ann is absent. It's also, it must be Jumba. Kevin Jumba is here around really. Today we are only 5. Um, so ensure you sign the attendance. I've shared the link. Now, there are those people who did not present last time. Any question? Anybody with a question?
Yes,
Anybody with
Daktari,
a question? Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
In the section 3 on Masomo portal,
Hmm.
there was a part that there was an arrow for a discussion. When I clicked it, when I came back, I was unable to find it.
There was a question, huh? Repeat.
Discussion arrow when you open the first part.
There was a discussion arrow.
Yeah.
Session 3.
Yes.
Mm. When you clicked on it, you did not find anything?
Yes.
Okay, I will check that. Let me just note it down. Session 3 discussion. Okay, I will check that and mhm. Uh-huh.
Dr. Nyongesa,
Yes.
Last time, the slides that we were presenting, you had said that when we were presenting the slide, there's a paper we're supposed to write, but you didn't tell us where we're going to submit it.
Yeah, there is an exercise. There is an activity in session 1. I will clarify, and in fact, I will also tell Shedrack to grade it. There is an activity in session 1. I will specify on WhatsApp. Yeah, in
Oh,
session 1. Yeah, I will specify on WhatsApp. I will grade it. I will grade it. And that's the activity where you are to read that PDF and then upload some content. You are to upload some content, and I think I've labeled it a presentation. I think I've called it a presentation or something, but I will go there and then clarify. That's where you will upload the. Of course, there is the presentation, but there is the written part. You will upload a short essay there on this presentation here. You will upload a short essay, not the presentation itself. I mean, you don't upload slides. You will upload a short essay there on Stuart Hall. So I will mark that one, and then I will combine the marks with the presentation. I think I should make it something like 20 marks because of the presentation and also what you will write. That will be for Cat 1. So Cat 1 is session 1. Then very soon I will decide where to place Cat 2. And I think Cat 2, this time it should be at least a shortcut to make people read. Also, I want you to have a test of online exams because you people, some of you will become lecturers in the future. So you need to also have a taste of these things, so that when you become a lecturer, you feel, you know how students feel, si ati unakaa tu hapo unafanya vitu zako. You should also test it, so that when you become a lecturer, you know what an online or a virtual cut means, especially the objective one. And another reason why I will give that one is to ensure that people read the notes in the masomo portal, kwa sababu kuna watu watakaa tu huku nje, and yet there are some good things you will find in those in the masomo portal. You'll find good pictures, you'll find good videos that will expound your thinking, more than just this lesson that you are attending. See some message. Let's see some messages. I've been in class. Mary says, Mary you say you have been in class, but when I checked, your names are coming here. This technology is very powerful. I just look at the
I just use
participants.
another device to log in.
You have not used
It's
your
Mboro. It's Mboro.
Mburu. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see Mburu around. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question? But I
Yes,
think
yes, I have a question, Daktari.
yes.
Concerning the same on Masomo portal, I did write an essay and submitted it. So will I be affected?
You wrote an essay. You wrote an essay
So, on Stuart Hall's,
and
the
submitted.
spectacle. Yes.
That's okay, because that cut is in form of presentation and essay. So I will take the marks for presentation plus the marks for the essay, and then I can either decide to take 20 or do the average. Yeah. So it's okay. You have no issue. In fact, that's how it's supposed to be. It is activity what, Bob? Have I numbered the activity? Bob, are you in class?
Okay, activity.
Hello?
I think it's activity 4.
Activity 4. Okay, I'll confirm.
Yes, if I'm not.
Yeah, I think that's the activity that I'm turning into Cat 1. I will just confirm. Yeah, that's the activity I would like to turn into a cat. Now that those people did not present, I want them to present before we. Where are they? Are they around? Those people did not present. I think Eugenia presented, Natalia presented. Let me check the record. Let me check the record. Mary Ann was the first, then Natalia the second. Number 3, was it Eugenia? Eugenia, did you present?
Yes, I did present, but I was number 4.
You were number 4?
Yes.
Yeah, Eugenia was number 4. Who was number 3? I did not write number 3's name, but I have the comments here. Who was number 3?
It was Faith Ndanu.
It was Faith Ndanu. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith Ndanu. Okay. Then Eugenia, number 4. So let's go to number 5. Let's go to number 5. Number 5. We want to finish the presentation today. We want to finish the presentations today so that we who is this Leah? Sarah? Sarah, have you presented? Even Bob. Bob, you have not presented, eh?
I've not presented yet. Let me get my presentation ready.
That is Sarah. Is that Sarah or Leah?
Sarah.
All right. Are you ready? Yeah, Sarah, if you have the slides, you can share. Sarah, are you ready? I think we can just give each of them 10 minutes, 10 minutes, so that we finish in 30 minutes time. Sarah, are you there? Okay, Bob is sharing, okay.
I think.
Bob,
Sorry for that.
you had shared. What
I
happened?
think I'm finishing. Okay, just give me.
You can just open it. You open the document and then share and then click on it. Don't share the full screen. Open the document in your computer. and then click share, and then click on the document. Yes, as we have just said, you people in the media, you need to understand the power of technology, and you should be in the forefront. Like a media student, this is part of course, this is part of media literacy to a media student. You need to know how to share your PowerPoints, to prepare good slides. That's part of media literacy. That is part of media literacy. You need to know how to use these devices. Your time is really moving faster. It's really moving. It's ebbing away. Time is ebbing away. All right, if you have difficulties, you can just use the microphone.
Are you able to see my screen?
Oh, we are seeing this is I've seen, but are they slides or it's just this is the book
The
itself?
slides, the slides. No, the slides.
Introduction, okay. Okay, we can see. But is it possible to zoom?
Okay.
Maybe enlarge them a bit? Okay, just go ahead. We can see
Okay,
something. All right.
so the presentation is the spectacle of the other, the difference, stereotyping, and racializing the other in slavery. Stuart Hall asks a key question. He asks, how do we represent people who are different from us? He calls this the spectacle of the other. Media and culture doesn't just show difference, they attach meanings and myths to it. These meanings often reinforce stereotypes about race. Why difference matters? Difference is central to meaning. We only understand one thing in contrast to another, like black versus white, civilized versus primitive. But difference isn't neutral. It fascinates people because it feels exotic, but it also creates fear. Importantly, difference is tied to power because one group defines itself as superior while marking the other as inferior. Racializing the other, Hall identifies three main historical moments that shaped how Black people are represented. That is slavery, the European colonialism, and the post-World War II migration. At these encounters, we saw that they tied Blackness to nature and primitiveness, while whiteness was linked to culture and civilization. That is, the body, the skin color, the lips, the hair became the evidence for racial difference. I remember when he said that the difference of the other makes one thing superior and the other inferior. Now, in this case, the blacks were made to look like the inferior race, and the whites were made to look like the um, superior race. Slavery representations. During slavery, images showed black servitude as the natural order of things. Popular culture produced stereotypes such as the faithful, slave Uncle Tom or Mommy, the happy entertainer, banjo players, and minstrels, and the noble savage, innocent but primitive. Even abolitionists often replaced one stereotype with another, showing blacks as childlike Christians in need of white guidance. When you go back to history, we see that uh, the missionaries that brought Christianity to us Africans were white, and they came in and they started by teaching us how to read the Bible, uh, they started translating it to languages that we could understand. Like they were taking us step by step into the religion journey. Stereotyping Black people. Stereotyping means reducing Black people to a few fixed traits, which are then treated as natural. In American films and ads, we see recurring figures. Toms are submissive and loyal, Coons are lazy and foolish, mummies are devoted house servants, mulattoes are tragic mixed race women, and Bucks violent and hypersexual men. These images are circulated in ads, in toys, and mainstream cinema, shaping how Blackness was understood. Uh, that was before, but also currently, when you look at most films and most movies, you see that they're trying to bring in the balance between race. But if unless the movie is purely a Black movie, in white movies you'll just see a few Black people. Why stereotyping matters? It reduces people to a few traits, naturalizes difference seen as unchangeable, it maintains racial hierarchies, and it also creates both fear and fascination. Challenging the stereotypes, representation is a political struggle. It can either reinforce racism or resist it. Abolitionists use slogans like "Am I not a man?" or "and a brother" to counter negative images. Black filmmakers and artists began reclaiming representation, reshaping how Black identity was portrayed. A good example is Tyler Perry, the producer. He's coming and he's doing exploits in the film industry because we see that not only is he allowing more Black people to be seen on television, but he's also created a space for other Black people to win and to also create wealth. I love that in his movies now you'll find the opposite of what the world has been showing us. Now in his movies it will be more Black people and less white people, and like in most white movies where it is more white people and less Black people. The conclusion, difference is central but ambivalent. Stereotypes continue to shape how Black people are viewed. Understanding representation helps us challenge racism in culture. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, let's give Sarah a virtual clap. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Let's give Sarah a virtual clap. That's great. That's great learning. Any other person to clap for Sarah? Any other person? Only 2 people have done that. You need to clap for others. You need to appreciate what others are doing. Yes, so thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Next, who will go next? I think we now have Leah and Bob. Who will go next? We would like to finish these presentations today so that
Yes, Doctor, I think mine is I've shared my presentation with you by WhatsApp to use gadget.
Pardon?
I have shared my presentation with you via WhatsApp because my gadget has got some problem with uploading the file.
All right, then just present, just speak, just use the microphone, because my WhatsApp web does not work. My WhatsApp web does not work. But you can just present what you have. Use the microphone. If you have some notes, just explain them to us. Or you just use your phone and explain. Yes, Bob, are you there? I've given you permission. Just explain. Doesn't mean I will punish you. Just explain so that because what I want is for you also to show me that you have understood, and you don't need to share slides to prove to me that you have understood. There you say. And Leah, what are you saying? Leah Wamboi, are you in class?
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, so it was about the spectacle of the other by Stuart Hall. And just briefly on the introduction, the spectacle of the other explores Stuart Hall's concept on analyzing racial differences, stereotyping of Black people, the use of villains and heroes, and how they are constructed and represented in the media and the current society. And in this case, more so in the 1988 Olympics, which was analyzed by Hall. So Hall basically, he came up with some 3 contexts. And first one is the stereotypes of Black people. The second one is the heroes and villains. The third, racializing the other. And then the fourth, he came up with why now that difference matter. So just a quick one on stereotypes of the Black people. Stuart identifies stereotyping as a representational practice that reduces individuals to simplistic nature. And that was evident when Ben Jonson was portrayed as someone who is so energetic and his body was well built. And compared, unlike him, when he was compared to Lewis, Lewis was portrayed as a clean, honorable African American hero, while Linford was portrayed as a Black British athlete. So these are the stereotyping that Stuart outlined in the spectacle of the other. And in my conclusion, I conclude that stereotyping of Black people during the Olympic finals, the 100-meter sprint finals, it really it reduces one and it gives one characteristics that reinforce racial and ethnic differences. Then moving to the heroes and villains, in this case, the Black heroes are depicted as exceptional individuals who defy stereotypes but still reinforce the racial difference, such as Ben Jonson. So in this case, Ben Jonson is portrayed as both triumphant and disgraced drug cheat. In Stuart Hall's paper, he analyzed that despite Ben Jonson being affected with the doping of he had a scandal of doping, and despite that he was also a triumphant and he won. So he came victorious on the race. And Stuart Hall now analyzes that the media itself depicted Ben Jonson that despite being a hero, there were also some villains, like in the likes of Carl Lewis, Linford, and some 5 other athletes. So in my conclusion, I conclude that the portraying of the athletes as heroes and villains influences societal attitudes towards race and identity. Then the third one, we have racializing the other. So Stuart emphasizes that racializing the other involves making difference through representational practice. So this reduces simple images of people. Like in the photo, one might view the photo as either a triumphant photo or a disgrace. Maybe one might view the photo as somebody, okay, the athletes are victorious, or the athletes are a disgrace, or they have failed in the race. So in my conclusion, I conclude that racialization operated through various means: marketing, marking athletes as embodiments of wider racial narratives. Just using racializing as a tool to portray athletes, it creates divisions in the society. Then lastly, I'll talk of why difference matter. So in this case, why difference matter, Stuart Halls now analyzes that why the other is being used in his title, The Spectacle. So in this case, I will look at just a minute. Okay, so on racializing the other,
Supposed to be why difference matters. Why difference
okay.
matters. Or you want to go back?
Oh no, sorry, I was confused. Okay, now on why difference matter. According to Stuart, difference matter because it has become a crucial aspect of cultural studies in the recent decades. So understanding this will be of good significance in knowing stereotyping and power dynamics that play in the media and the popular culture. So basically, Hall emphasizes that difference matter because it categorizes and excludes groups, hence bringing divisions in the society. So I concluded that the presentations on why difference matter might trigger complex feelings and attitudes amongst the athletes and the public, or rather the society at large. So in my conclusion or final take, the 1988 Olympics sprinting event highlights how racial difference is constructed and consumed in media spectacles, with black athletes subjected to contrasting stereotypes that celebrates and criminalize their bodies. So this issue remains relevant today, emphasizing the need for more complex representations in sports, in the current sports media. So I think that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you.
Unless there's any question.
Let's give Bob a virtual clap. Let's give Bob a virtual clap. A virtual clap. All right, the next presenter, that must be Leah. Leah, are you ready? Leah, are you ready?
Yes, but I also think I have a good description. My answer is the system.
Leah, are you ready? You want to finish this thing today? So that from From next week, we do other things. We don't want to focus on cut one. We'll mark your submitted essay and grade you for cut one. Yeah, are you ready?
The Spectacle of the Other by Stuart Hall. I will start with the heroes and villains. The Spectacle of the Other by Stuart Hall talks about how people are seen as different, especially Black people, are shown in the media in the ways that are often unfair, negative, or based on stereotypes. Stuart Hall explained that the way the images and ideas were portrayed were not just harmless pictures, but powerful tools that shape how we see race, identity, and culture. So Stuart Hall says that Black people are often shown using binary opposites like good or bad, civilized or uncivilized, hero and villains. This makes the identity seem very simple when in reality everyone is complex. For example, the athlete Ben Johnson was first seen as a hero when he won at the Olympics, but later called a variant when he was caught cheating with drugs. So the media put him in both roles, showing how quickly someone can be praised and then blamed. Concerning images, the images that were used there in the heroes and the villains, they had many meaning. Photographs or media images may seem clear, but Hall says they actually carry multiple meanings. An Olympic photo of a Black athlete might show strength, but when media talks about anchoring can twist the meaning. For example, a photo could be turned into a story or suspicion depending on the caption or the heading. So these meanings are not natural. They are chosen by
You are breaking.
the
You are breaking. Come near the microphone.
Concerning race and national identity,
Leah, you are breaking. Where are you? I think we have lost Leah. I think we have lost Leah. Where are you, Leah?
topic, the Black body as a spectacle. The media often reduces the Black people, especially athletes, to just their bodies, strength, or sexuality. For example, instead of celebrating Christie's achievements, the media joked about his body by calling attention to his genitals lunchbox. So Halls refer to Flant as Fanon, who said that the Black man is often reduced to a sexual object in the white imagination. In all other words, Black men are often not seen as full people, but only as physical beings. On Also on Heroes and the Variant, I had another subtopics on genderless and stereotypes of Black women. Black women like women athletes like Florence Griffith Jonah and Jackie Jonah Cassie face even more judgment. People said they looked men or even animals. So this comment they racist and sexist ideas that questions whether Black women are even human or feminine. So this shows how racism and sexism often work together. I also had a small subtopic, repeating stereotypes across the media. The media doesn't just show one image, it shows many similar images across time and places. Hall calls this a regime of representation. When we keep seeing Black people shown as dangerous, athletic, or suspicious, we start to believe that that's just how they are. This makes it harder to see them as individuals with unique stories. Why the difference matter? Stuart Hall also asked why difference matter. He explained this through four theories. One, linguistics by Saucer. We understand things by comparing them to their opposites, Black or white, British or other, but this can be dangerous because it often put one group in a superior position and the other as inferior. Another theory about why the difference matter that Stuart Hall explained to us is dialogic theory. It says meaning is created through dialogue with others. Identity is not fixed, it's always changing through conversations and relationships. The other theory is anthropology, which says that cultures create meaning by putting things into categories. But when someone that doesn't fit into a category, people feel anxious. This can lead to discrimination against who are different. The last theory is psychoanalysis, which say our identity forms through our relationships with others, like child identifying with or against their parents. So difference is part of how we understand who we are. Our next topic is racializing the other. Hall shows how Black people have been stereotyped for centuries. These stereotypes show Black people with certain physical features like big lips, white noses, and paint them as lazy, emotional, or loud. So these images appeared in toys like the Glory Wong, books, Little Black Sabbath, and ants and Jemima, and were used to justify slavery and colonialism. Even in ads for things like soap, companies used racist ideas. They suggested that Blackness was dirty and whiteness was clean. So these messages were meant to make white people feel superior and make Black people seem less human. In my conclusion, Stuart Hall's work shows us that representation of Black people in the media are not just harmless images, they are deeply connected to racism, power, and history. By showing Black people as the other, the media reinforces old ideas of differences that divide people and keep some in positions of power and others in disadvantage. To challenge racism, we must learn to recognize and question these stereotypes and work toward more truthful, respectful, and complex representation of people. That's the end of my presentation. I don't think whether there is any question.
All right, let's give Leah a virtual clap. Let's give Leah a virtual clap. So thank you, Leah. Yes, so I've listened to your presentations. And let me see some of my comments. I'll just give general comments. One of the things I've observed, you are not. I know it was just more of a review. It was more of a review, but mostly in scholarly writing, we encourage you to cite what we call theoretical sources, or what we call empirical sources. Now, like in this case, I will encourage you to also read other people who have theorized similar ideas to Stuart Hall. Yeah. Like there are other people who have written similar ideas to Stuart Hall. Like the whole question of marginalization of difference. In fact, that concept is called othering. Yeah. And there are people like Stazak who have theorized on othering. Frantz Fanon has also written greatly about othering. People like Du Bois have written about this. Like this concept of dialogue that Leah has just mentioned, the concept of dialogue. The concept of dialogue. Now, the concept of dialogue was theorized by Bakhtin, yeah, Mikhail Bakhtin. Mikhail Bakhtin, a philosopher from Russia. And that's the one I talked about when I was presenting on open texts and closed texts. Yeah. So he talks about dialogism. Yeah. So as you write, apart from those sources that the current scholar who is Stuart Hall has cited, you also need to read at least 2 or 3 other people who have talked about something similar and incorporate them. Yeah. When you write term papers, I want to encourage you to read other sources and incorporate. Even if you look at my notes, if you look at my notes in the portal, yeah, you see me citing other scholars. I don't just talk about Stuart Hall. You'll see me talking about other people who have theorized. And I want you to learn this. When you start now your concept paper, there's something called theoretical review and empirical review. Empirical studies are studies which are related to your topic, and you critique them to find your gap. And then you have what you call theoretical. Theories are the ones we are talking about here, and there are others that my fellow scholars are also teaching you in other units. Yeah. So when you now write your paper, you must learn to incorporate the ideas of others. Don't just write about it. I know I've given you Stuart Hall, but don't just write about a Stuart Hall. A good scholar is identified, yeah, by his or her ability to recognize what others have done. Because we now come to your paper. it guards against replicating a study. How do you know your study is original? When you review what others have done and you establish a gap and you show that, oh, this person said this person said this, but this is what I say. That's how we establish originality in academic writing. That's why at this level, most of your presentations, I've not had you cite any other person. And so that will mark a point of departure between your level and undergraduate studies. In undergraduate, you can just talk about people, about your ideas, but at this level, talk about others, and that will prepare you now to establish a gap between your study and others, and also to have a theoretical framework. Then on why difference matters, most of you did not go deeper. At least Leah has talked about the four. I wanted you to talk about the four, the four aspects that she that no, not she that Stuart Hall uses to show why difference matters. The linguistics, yeah. It talks about the linguistics, the dialogism, the anthropology, and even psychoanalysis. Before he talks about marginalization and stereotyping, he tries to show why humanity is very obsessed with the difference. And I wanted you to focus on that, but most of you did not. Another thing in your presentations, if I look at most of you who are using slides, I do not see you paraphrasing. You are supposed to cite, you even cite a few lines or a few sentences from Stuart Hall, and then explain what those lines mean. Don't just like now, if you just write what you are writing on your slides. I cannot really believe you that you have really read. Cite even what that person has done and then explain. Don't just give general statements. I'm not sure whether you have read. Prove to us that you have read. So cite some short texts, yeah, and explain. And if possible, even indicate the page where you have gotten that particular citation, yeah, where you have gotten that citation. So next time you make presentations, I want you to cite even some lines from what that scholar said. You saw my presentation which I was making. I was even citing what McLuhan said. I've cited some lines to prove to you that I have read McLuhan. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. Do not just give general statements. No, 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 no. Do not just give general statements. Prove to us that you have read McLuhan, you have read Stuart Hall. And we will come to him on, is it session 5 or session 6? We will talk about Stuart Hall in that particular section. Um, mm, so, but your worst weakness was you don't cross-reference. It's called cross-referencing. Yeah, cite other scholars to show us that you have read, and then sometimes cite some parts of that particular scholar to prove to us that that you have actually read. And then try to master the content. And one way of trying to master the content is when you are making presentations, your slides should just have a few points. The reason why I populate my slides is because sometimes I want to give people notes. Sometimes I give people notes through that overpopulation. Sometimes my video, somebody can pause and make notes. But for slides which are meant for the exam, make them as sparse as possible. I liked the pictures. Those of you used pictures, that was very good. Of course, we are talking about hot and cool media. Like when you use good slides, like those of you who have presented without without the slides, I had to concentrate a lot. We had to concentrate a lot to listen. And that's what we call hot media. You see? So those of you who presented without slides, it was hot media. We had to listen keenly, completely to, of course, to make notes. But those of you who use slides and pictures, it was very easy for us. It was very easy for us. And I want to encourage most of you to use what? Cool media. To use cool media so that we don't strain a lot. Yes, so try to master the content, and that is through also using very few points on the what? Very few points on the slides. And when you're explaining, go into details. Like if it's talking about Ben Johnston and this question of the bodies, for example, why are the male and female bodies of Africans? Africans are only identified with the bodies. And then racializing the other was basically about slavery and the question of also stereotypes like Jemima, how African women are stereotyped through Auntie Jemima and other aunties. Like this auntie who is very good with other people's children, but when she comes home, she treats her children like rubbish. Is that Auntie Jemima or is Aunt what? Leah? You're talking about those aunts there. So that was basically racializing the other. And actually, Leah tried to go into detail. What I liked about her presentation was basically what different matters, and also she went into the aunties. Who else talked about the aunties? That was racializing the other. Okay. I'm not saying there's the only one who made the right presentation, but on the side of difference, she went deeper into it, and also the aunties and all that. So basically, I have all your comments, and I'm going to use them to award you marks. Basically, presentation will be out of 10. And then you ensure that you also submit. Now, when you submit the final paper, I know some of you have already submitted, but basically, from now on, when you make a presentation, scholars are meant for also recognizing what others have done. Don't just talk about Strathold alone. No, at least cite some two more people, and also go into specificities. Yeah, be specific where you cite even some text to show that you have read and paraphrase what that person has done. Even cite the pages. Cite the pages where you have gotten. And that's how you know you have read properly. You have read properly. Otherwise, thank you so much for those who have participated. And I would like us to end there. I think there's at least one person who has not. There's somebody who is supposed to be part of this class, but I have not seen. So I want to wish you a nice evening and ensure that you do what? You sign the attendance. Another thing is that be punctual. Today, I only started with Natalia. Yeah. Let's be punctual. I will be starting on time. I will not wait. Because some people just come late and they even don't tell us where they have been. So I will be starting on time so that in fact, within 1 hour, or 40 minutes, I can finish my part, and then we discuss other things which are important, so that we don't take the whole evening. Like now we have taken these are almost 2 hours, yeah, but it's because of the challenges people had with connectivity and also sharing. Unless somebody has a question, I wish to end there. Okay, no question. Have a nice evening.